Good morning to you. Jeez. Wow. Man. Yeah, good morning. Oh, boy. We're over here to TA in Illinois. Just about to get on our way here. Let's see where we are. Oh, is it Mount Vernon? There we go. That's right. We pulled in last night at, actually a pretty early hour. I think we pulled in here at like 7:30 or 8 local time. And we're getting out of here at 8:41 right now. I went ahead and slept in a little bit. I couldn't help it. I was tired. It felt good to stay in bed a little bit longer than normal. But it is time to go. So we're doing it. So man, it is freaking super cold over here. Jeez Louise, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's so cold, okay, so, and I watched the clock on this, okay?
In 1/4 mile, turn left on Broadway.
At 6:17, okay, so I got some McDonald's yesterday, and had a large Coke or whatever to go with it, and you got the thing in the cup holder, and you drink a whole bunch of it, and the ice melts, and you end up with like an eighth of a cup or a quarter of a cup of melted ice and like a little Coke residue in there right at the bottom, right, which is always just kind of nasty. You don't want to drink it. So it's
turn left on Broadway.
In the cup, overnight, up here in the cup holder. And this morning at 6:17 a.m.
Turn left on Broadway.
And that's California time. It's actually like 2 hours ahead right here. So we'd be talking about 8:17 local time. I've gone in and I got myself a cup of coffee and come back to the truck, and so I needed a place to put my coffee. So I grabbed the Coke cup and popped the lid, and I throw it out the window. Not the cup. I dump the liquid out of the window and throw away the cup in my trash can. And it makes this big old splatter, down there on the pavement, right? And I actually watched it within 3 minutes freeze, just like that. Shoot, last night I took Max out to go pee, and he had to go pretty bad, so he didn't make it all the way back to like where the snowy area was, right? He peed right there on the concrete next to the trailer. And
turn left on I-57 North.
And then I walked him back to where it's a snowy area, but it would be normally a grassy area, right? It's just covered with snow. And I walked him back there. He played around a whole bunch. I let him play out there for a little while, on the leash, and he did his poo-poo and stuff like that. By the time we walked back to the truck, his pee over there on the concrete was frozen. It was just like, man, it is just nippy. So right now, my gauge is telling me 9 degrees, and I have a feeling it's going to go down. It might go down to like 7 once we get moving. Oh, let's make sure I go the right way on this one today. Speaking of which, I guess I ought to check in here. We got Sunday, February 14th. Really? What, is today like Valentine's Day or something? Oh, man. Huh. Oh, happy Valentine's Day, I guess. Yeah, 2021. local time is 8:46, something like that. I don't know. It might be lying to me. I don't know. Yeah, 8:46. We'll go with that. In the AM, of course.
1.25 miles. Keep left to I-64 West.
Oh, it's down to 5 degrees now. Oh boy. What'd I tell you? It's cold. And the truck is noticing it's cold too, I'll tell you what. It's got brittle bones right now. So yeah, 5 degrees so far. And we're now on I-57, heading, well, the designation of 57, it's a north to south. Oh, I see. I gotcha. Alright. Yeah, we're going to be hopping off the I-57, which is a north to south designation. And hopping on the 64, heading westbound to St. Louis. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, the truck is feeling a little cranky here. Does not want to get out of bed either. Yeah, it looks like it's settled at 5 degrees here.
Continue on I-64.
Yeah, so here's the other thing. So, let's see, I got up and did my thing. Had to get myself all bundled up, right? Just walk over to the NAP TA store, get myself ready to go. And, and I got my shower last night. That was awesome. I needed that. Come back to the truck, and Max had already woke me up this morning at whatever it was, 5 or 6 a.m. and he took care of his business, both 1 and 2, which was good. Like, cool. So I come back to the truck after getting myself ready, and I had fed him while I went in. I made his breakfast. That's what I do every morning. I make his breakfast, and I go into the store, get myself ready to go, come back, and he's usually pretty content at that point. And so, and he was just kind of hanging out. He wasn't really bothering me or nothing. But I was like, well, before we get going, let's go ahead and get him out, make sure he, evacuates any extra, right? And so when walking back there where the snow is, and sure enough, he had to go pee, and then he had to go in and he got the food done again, which was great. It's a good thing. And so I go walk him around, like, down the ways a bit, and off to the left, and just down, and he's just out there having a goofy time in the snow, like it's on the leash, but he's, having a little bit of fun in the snow. He loves it. He just goes wacky, he goes bananas. So it's like, all right, it's cold, it's like we're down to 3 degrees now. So, and it's cold out there, right, obviously. And, it's like the breath from my nose and my mouth is now freezing on my mustache, It's like, yeah, we got to get back. So we start walking back to the truck. And as we're getting closer, I see this guy, and he's all bundled up, and he's got a dog on a leash. And from afar, I could kind of see, and I was like, that looks a little bit like a healer. And sure enough, he had a little blue healer up there. And, so we're getting closer. I was like, oh boy, I'm speaking out loud now. And I'm like, oh wow. I said, is that a healer? He's like, yeah. I said, is he friendly? He goes, oh yeah. So they met, we let them meet each other on the leashes. And then he went ahead and made the first move and took his dog off the leash. And I was like, cool, heck yeah, let's do it. So I took Max off the leash, and they just loving it up, like having a good old time. Both two boy dogs, but just having a blast out there playing and goofing off, and rolling each other around and stuff. His healer was also named Max, right? Which is funny. Also had a bobtail, and he also got his Max when he was 6 weeks old. But he's a blue healer, and probably about the same size as Max is going to get. Max isn't going to get that big. His parents weren't that big, so kind of like the smaller breed of healers, right? So they got to play a good bit, which was great, right? What else was also great was that I got to talk to the guy about it, because it's like, man, it's like some days it's just this dog, I just don't know, how I feel about keeping him in the truck like this, right? So I was telling him, I was like, man, yeah, I don't know, I've been feeling like I need to have my head checked for having this dog, especially this breed in the truck, He's like, oh, don't worry about it. He goes, he's just a pup, he'll get better, he's like, you'll regret it if you get rid of him. I said, yeah, yeah. So I don't know. So that felt good too, just hearing it out, in somebody else's voice, experience. And now it's like, the other thing, it's like, some days, and I just want to drive, and I have to stop like every 100 miles or, every 200 miles to let him out. He's like, yeah, it'll get better. He says his bladder just ain't that big yet. And I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah. He says, sometimes I can get away. He tells me, he goes, I can get away with 8 hours straight. He doesn't bother me to get out. Yeah. On average, I think he said he stops about every 4 hours or something like that, which is cool. That's not bad. I mean, you shouldn't stop every 4 hours, I mean, seriously, man. Every 4 hours, you do kind of deserve to take a quick break, shake out your legs and stuff, whatever you got to do anyways. You're talking about an 11 or 14-hour work day. Yeah, you need to take breaks every 4 hours or something. That's not a bad idea. But on occasion, you just want to drive. You just want to keep going. You don't want to stop. Anyways, I think you get my point. So there you go. So yeah, 3 degrees. It is settled at 3 degrees out here. Man, chilly willy. So I believe we're going to be crossing over the state line into Missouri here shortly, or semi-shortly. Next 50 miles or so, something like that. Anyways, I guess that's it for now. So we'll see you down the road here. Well, so it would seem that this winter is just brutal. Yep. God, it's like we can't make it 500 miles at a time over the last, I don't know, a couple weeks or a month or something without something going on, without something going wrong and having to be delayed and stuff, right? Whether it's weather stuff or mechanical stuff or tires or whatever. And excuse me, today is no different. So we just left the TA in Mount Crawford. We've made it about 30 or 40 miles or something like that. And I've been noticing since I left the yard on this, before I took off on this haul, back east out to North Carolina, that the truck wasn't holding air pressure properly anymore. Something, you know, and so I assumed that it was the trailer, because I'm hauling a different trailer than I was back in California up through Washington. I'm hauling 9114. Back there I was hauling, I think, 9115. And so I was assuming that it was the trailer. But last night, when we slept out there in Mount Crawford at the TA, I think I mentioned this, it was losing air pressure all night long. And what happens is you have a cutout, or you have a cut-in point for an air compressor, and you have a cutout point, right? So the cutout point for this truck is at 140 psi, and I have gauges on my display cluster here that tell me where my air pressure is, right? And this truck's always solid. It's always holding air perfect, right? No matter what. But last night, you know, so what'll happen is the air pressure will reach 140 psi, and then the safety release valve will open up so that you don't overpressurize the tank, and that's when you hear that, right? When you hear on these big trucks, you know, if they're just sitting still or on the freeway, sometimes you'll hear that, and that's the safety cutout valve. And what happens when that happens is the air compressor shuts off. The air compressor has a governor on it, and then the governor senses when it's at 140 psi, and the compressor shuts off, and then the air pressure holds, right? You know, but you know, while you're driving, as you use your brakes, you know, your brakes, Max, knock it off. Your brakes use the air pressure to, you know, your pedal uses the air pressure to apply the brakes, and so you lose air, and so eventually it'll drop down. And on this truck, it drops down to about 115 psi. Max, stop. And no. And the compressor will cut back on, right, to refill the tank back up to 140 psi. So it's like 115 or 120. It'll turn on. It'll reach 140 again. It'll turn off, and then it'll hold there. If you're not using your brakes, if you're just going straight down the interstate and you're just driving on cruise control, the air pressure is supposed to hold, right? And then, you know, you use your brakes, it drops down, it finally gets down to 115, turns back on. Well, so last night while we were sleeping, it was doing that while the brakes were set. So I knew there was a leak, and I knew that the leak was worse than it had been. Again, I was still assuming that it was the trailer. But so we got back underway this morning. We're cruising along, whatever, we're on 64 or something like that. And it started doing it, and it was losing air pressure rapidly. Like within a minute period of time, it was going from cut out to cut in. So I was actually watching the gauge drop air pressure from 140 down to 115, back up to 140, and then drop back down to 115, back up to 140, right? And it was happening about once a minute. So I was like, oh boy, that's not good. That's not good. That's not what you want, because if that turns into a just full-on explosion of air, Max, knock it off. And just like all your air, like if it finally does give way, and I mean, so we're running at 3 degrees outside right now, so airlines freeze up, you know, and they snap and stuff like that. And that's when you see those big skid marks of trucks along the freeways, when something blows on an airline and then the brakes lock up, right? That's a safety mechanism. When you lose your air pressure, your brakes have there's these air chambers, and they go into lockup, and that's when you see those big tracks that are going down the interstates, you know, from trucks that air brakes locked up. So I got got a hold of the boss. Wow, it's a big freaking boat this guy is pulling right here. Holy shit, you gotta see this. Look at this freaking boat this guy is pulling behind this little pickup. Look at this freaking boat. It's huge. It's freaking huge. It's got like 5 Max, stop! God, freaking dog. Sorry. Yeah, check out this freaking big ass boat. It's got like 5 bathrooms and 2 chimneys, fireplaces. It's huge. Look how big that freaking boat is behind that little truck. That's huge. Where are you going with that boat? Dude, there's no oceans around here that I'm aware of. Like that's something you take out on the freaking ocean. You don't take that out to a lake. What are you doing? Where are you going? And why are you coming into the speed shop, the Speed Co? Anyways, all right. So, Max, chillax. Get back. Okay, so to get back to my story, anyways. So yeah, so that's what was going on as we're going down the interstate just now. So I called the boss and let him know. Told him there was a Love's in like 10 miles. He goes, yeah, go ahead, pull in there, and we'll get it checked out. So, of course, there's all these other trucks around here that are having problems too, of course, right? Because it's just an extra cold winter right now. I talked to the guy, knock it off. I talked to the service manager. I was like, dude, because he mentioned, he was like, yeah, it's 3 degrees out here, man. I was like, yeah. I says, is this like a normal winter, or is it like this on average every winter? He goes, oh no. He says this is the coldest winter they've had in like 20 years. And the boss was even mentioning that, you know, all his other drivers are dealing with it too. You know, it's just, you know, yeah, sure, it gets cold like that and it'll stay, you know, maybe a couple days, but it's just like that everywhere. And it's been that way for an unusually long period of time. It's that global warming taking effect is really what it is, right? So we need to watch out for climate change and be taxed or something, right? Are you serious? What's the matter with you? You got the runs? He has the runs. And look at the way he's looking at me. I don't know if you can see how you can't see him. You got the runs. Like, yeah, I got the runs. He's being an insistent prick right now, just a jerk. He won't let me do my video. So yeah, it's crazy cold. There's actually a tow truck driver here when I pulled in, right? One of these big, massive tow trucks, you know, the big rig record trucks, right? And he was hooked up to a truck just to the right of me here, like a couple slots down, and the Speedco shop is right in front of me. So like we're talking about 50 feet from the Speedco shop toward this truck that he hooked up so he could tow it into the Speedco shop. 50 feet. He had to hook up to this truck because the guy shut down his truck overnight and all his diesel fuel gelled up. It's like, man, or something happened. So we're in line. We have probably like an hour and a half to wait or something like that before they can get us in. So that's what we're doing. So anyways, fun stuff. Yeah, well, I hope you all are doing well, and we will see you somewhere down the road. See ya. All right, well, hey there. So, man, what a freaking wasted day today. Jeez. We are headed up to Troy, Illinois now, currently running up Highway 4, aka North Madison Street. We just left the Love's Speedco shop down there, wherever that was, in Bumfuck, Illinois, with a couple of Bumfuck guys working there who just really didn't want to work, is what it is. We just wasted like, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours there for nothing. It's like, you know, after waiting for them to get another trailer out and another bobtail out of their shop, out of the bay, they went ahead and had me pull the truck in bobtail and shut the door behind it while they were busy basically warming up another truck that its fuel had frozen, I guess. And so I get out of the truck and go hang out in their little lobby there. And the woman who had just had the trailer in there had a turn signal, an indicator light on her trailer that wasn't working, right? Far from a major issue. But, so they had her, you know, bring her trailer in there and then unhook from it. And so they could close the doors to the bay, obviously, because it's so cold, right? They need to keep warm in there as much as possible. So they tell her to go ahead and hook back up to it and pull out and then come back in to get it paid out. So she comes in there, and while she's waiting, or no, she comes back in, and we start talking, and it turns out, you know, that they told her that they had fixed it, but when she pulled back out to the parking lot, she wanted to try it, and it still wasn't working. And anyhow, so they had her sitting in there waiting for who knows what, to do paperwork is what they told her, I think. And so we're sitting there talking. So anyways, so she ends up getting sent someplace else by her dispatch and tells her, all right, we'll take it over to a Kenworth dealer. So, okay. So she leaves, and so all that time, my truck is just sitting in there, nobody's doing anything with it, right? And I think what they were doing was they were using the cold as an excuse not to get to it, right? Like they were like, oh, well, we got to wait for it to warm up. And like, it's an air leak. Just check the air leak. I don't know. And so finally, he goes, all right, come on in there and you can fire it up and we'll take a listen. And so he's in there and I can hear something hissing. And he's like, I don't hear it. I'm like, well, something's going on because my air pressure is going from 140 cutout, and it's gone down to 60 while we're sitting there not listening to anything, right? So he grabs a spray bottle, and we discover, you know, an area where there's like these 4 brass fittings that fit into an air dryer where the tank is, and we see that it's bubbling. Okay. And right away he goes, well, that's totally rigged, and that's not the way it's supposed to be, and somebody's rigged that up, and I'm not going to touch it, and there's no licensed mechanic anywhere in the area who's going to touch it like that. That's totally rigged and all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, really? You know, it looks like it's the way it's supposed to be to me. But so ultimately he just refused to touch it, and I was like, wow, dude, so you can't tighten it or something? He's, I'm not touching it. I says, well, dude, I mean, I got a pretty big air leak, man. I need to get down the road. He's like, yep, I don't know. And I was like, wow, okay. So I backed up out of there and off we went, you know. And so I got a hold of the boss and let him know. It's like, yeah, dude, it was just turned out it was one of these places where it's a couple, you know, it's a you know, crew of like 2 or 3 guys in there who just really don't want to do anything, and they're just fine collecting their hourly wage, and that's it. And I've seen that kind of situation before, unfortunately, where it's like you have a service manager who just doesn't, you know, feel like writing up jobs or having his guys do stuff, and so the mechanics just collect their little hourly wage or whatever instead of getting their flag rate. You know, so I mean, it was just ultimately a massive, major waste of time. So now we're headed up to Troy, Illinois to a TA where typically guys actually do work. I don't know what's up with that place, but again, it's not every Speedco or Love Shop. It can happen. You get a few bad eggs in one basket. Guys just don't want to do anything. It's weird. So hopefully that won't be the case up here. But we got to stop over to Freightliner and pick up a couple fittings, and then basically go wait in line at the TA because, you know, they got a bunch of trucks that are having problems. So it's so cold out, and trucks are just breaking down. Stuff like that. So it's a mess. It's now back up to 9 degrees though, so I mean that's a good thing, I guess. I mean, it's not much better, but it's better than 3. So, whatever. We got, I don't know, like 7 or 8 more miles to get up here to Oh boy. Happy, happy dog. Happy, happy dog. Are you an evil dog? I don't think so. He kind of had a like kind of an evil look to him there for a second. He's just jamming. He freaking loves the snow. So, I'm doing puppy videos. Huh. That could probably only mean one thing. Yep. That's what it means. That's what it means. We are incapacitated once again over here at TA. Over here in Nebraska. What is it called? Like Grand something? But it's just not, no, get out of there. It's not very grand though, except for the snow. Max just, yeah, that's a grand thing. It's not Grand Junction, that's Colorado. It's Grand something. I don't recall what, but yes, once again we have another coolant leak. Yeah. We stopped last night at a Petro over, like 20 or 30 miles west of Lincoln, Nebraska, and spent the night. And what apparently had happened was the solenoid that engages the fan clutch for the radiator for some reason stopped working properly, and so it was basically running the fan at high speed on the radiator all night long and overcooling the radiator. And so we got out on the road this morning, and within about 10 miles I got an engine light, and then got a secondary, the red engine light, which is basically a 30 seconds to shut down engine light. And I was like a mile away from a Love's, so I pulled into a Love's, and yet sure enough I was leaking a whole bunch of coolant, and the sensor was basically, you know, putting the engine into shutdown mode on me. And so we replenished it with coolant, and I tightened a bunch of hose clamps and stuff in hopes that that might seal the deal. And got back out on the road, and within about 5 miles it happened again, where the shutdown started again. So I had to pull off at an exit and see if I could diagnose it further. And what it appears to me, to my untrained eye, of course, I mean, I do know something about engines, but that due to the radiator fan operating at high speed all night, it like overcooled the radiator, and the temps got so low, I'm afraid that we might have cracked something in the radiator, or I don't know, hopefully it's something more simple. Hopefully it's just a fitting somewhere that shrank, or I don't know, you know. But so we went ahead and limped along an additional 19 miles. I just ran it at about 1200 RPMs, which basically the way it's going is the higher the RPMs, the more pressure in the system, and so the greater the leak, right? So instead of running along at 1500 RPMs, which is like normal, I ran it at about 1200 RPMs, and that got us here to the TA. And so basically we're over here signed in and awaiting open bay to pull in and get a pressure test done on the coolant system, and then we're going to go from there. So once again, we are stuck. We can't seem to get our way out of this cold snow. It's not the snow, it's just the cold. It's in the single digits out here, of course. It's probably actually something like 11 or 12 degrees out here, which it's not as bad as one. It's not as bad as -1, but it's still pretty bad. Yeah, it's snowing a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. So I don't know, whatever. We're just gonna have a little fun with it, I guess, while we can. So, yeah, kind of a bummer. Yeah, it's like one thing after another out here. And still a whole bunch of trucks just breaking down everywhere. So, and we are part of that crew. So anyways, there you go. A little bit of puppy videos, and that'll do that for now. So, yes, I hope you are all doing well, and I hope you're enjoying some better weather than we are here, wherever you may be. So take care. We'll see you. Okay. Hey, greetings to you, and good morning from somewhere here in Nebraska. I think we might be just westbound, west of Lincoln by, oh, I don't know, 100 miles or something. I'm not sure actually, but I just wanted to show you this. Hopped in the back of the trailer and show you what I'm pulling. It's these big, massive semi drive axles. You got your main bell housing right here. You got your main axle, your main drive axle here, and then you got your auxiliary axle behind it. And it looks like they actually have different sizes in here too. Like that one is smaller than this one here, so that's a set for one truck, and that's a set for another truck. Who knows what brand of truck? Let's see, he says I don't know, whatever that says. Tandem, MTOR tandem, Trident Nano. So anyhow, it looks like something shifted in here, but there's no way that this freaking thing slid. I mean, there's just no way. I mean, like, I would have had to, she must have loaded this bad. I mean, I could see like scrapes coming along the side, and they're going towards the front of the truck. So she didn't load this freaking very well or something, because there's no way that slid out. With this much weight, I just don't have that much acceleration to be able to slide that thing like that. And I didn't go up anything that steep. But yeah, and then here's the outside view. Snowy snow. It's for just days and days, and like weeks and weeks, and just days and days. Just snow. Cold ass snow too. So anyhow, we'll get back to you in a bit here. Wow. Good morning. Good morning to you. How's it going? Yeah. Man. Yeah, well, yeah, greetings, good morning, and all that good stuff from Grand Island, Nebraska. We are, as I speak, just kind of running back and forth between Grand Island and Platte or something, or wherever the heck it is up here. Yeah, we're just kind of cruising back and forth. I'll explain it in a minute. We got kind of just goofy stuff going on. Oh, I need to slow back down. I keep forgetting. I have a busted radiator. Slow down. Like slow bogey. Something will break down there on the shoulder. Don't do that anymore. But yeah, so okay, so let's get more specific. Let's get a little bit more defined here. So we are departing Grand Island, Nebraska on I-80 westbound. And let's go ahead and check in here. And that will kind of strange, but we'll do it anyways. We got Thursday, February 18th, 2021. Current local time at 9:28 a.m. It's about, let's see, 14 degrees out here in Nebraska, in this part of Nebraska, which is a damn sight warmer than it has been. And we're about 1,900 feet above sea level. So, where are we going? I better get that figured out too before I miss my damn exit. But I think I got about 7 miles to get to my exit here. And I'm doing essentially, like, it's like the entire country is just slammed with bitter cold and snow, all the way down to the coast of Texas. It's like, what? Like, the beach in Texas is getting snow. So there's your global warming for you. Thanks, Biden. He cured. Look at, he hasn't even been in office for 2 months, and he's already fixed global warming. Now we have a cold trend happening. So that's awesome. Imagine that. It just kind of makes me feel like somebody's been lying to us about things. But they wouldn't do that. They've told the truth about everything else in the past. Now they're telling the truth. All right? They've lied just out of their freaking teeth through it to us over just decades and decades, and probably hundreds of years, of course. But now they're telling us the truth. Right? Come on. Let's get into this. So, okay, I'm not going to go there. So this major cold thing is going on, right? Trucks are just freaking suffering from it. Trucks can handle this kind of stuff, for, a short period of time, right? But the older trucks, or more mileage, higher mileage trucks, they get stuck in this stuff for extended period of time. It just takes a toll on them, right? It's taking its toll on this one. We have, let's see here, 711,967 miles on this truck. That is 711,967 miles on this truck. And, so yeah, we were dealing with airline leaks, I think, the last time we spoke, and we got that corrected. We got that taken care of well enough, right, to get my butt down the road and try and make it out to work. This is 3 or 4 days ago now.
In 1 mile, take exit 305 on the right to Nebraska 40C Lake.
So I make my way over to a Petro back wherever. I keep saying it was Mount Vernon, but it was more like somewhere close to Lincoln, Nebraska. And I spend the night there. And through the night, it's just down in single digits. You're going to be leaving the truck running to have a heater, to keep the cab warm, right? And it'll freeze if you don't. So I'd been noticing that the coolant temperature was never getting up to, like a proper idle temperature, right? Where it should be. And
take exit 305
the only reason
on the right to Nebraska 40C Lake.
That I was aware of that going on was because we weren't getting any heat coming out of the vents, right? It was warm enough. It wasn't like, just having the truck running and the heat osmosis through the cab here is enough to, keep you,
in 1/2 mile, turn right on Alta Road South, then take the first left.
But so the following morning, and this would have been yesterday morning, I go to do my pre-trip inspection and pop the hood and notice that the radiator fan, this big, massive, giant fan up there in the front of the engine that cools the coolant down in the radiator, was stuck in the full-on
Turn right
position.
on Alta Road South, then take the first left.
It was stuck, basically you have two settings. It basically has, you have a fan clutch, right? And if the truck is running at a cool enough temperature, it'll basically
turn left on County Road 15.
Turn the fan at such a slow rate of speed it doesn't have an effect.
Arriving at Traudel Centers of America.
But if
on
the truck,
left.
Once it gets up to a warmer speed, or hot weather and stuff like that, the clutch fan clutch engages via a solenoid and turns it on, and that way it starts cooling the coolant, right? And therefore the temperature of the engine. Well, so it was stuck in full-on position all night long while we were sleeping in here, and I didn't know it. So, and it had gotten super cold, it was at least 0 or maybe a few degrees below 0 that night. And so the next morning, yesterday morning, I get out on the road, and all of a sudden I get an engine light and then a shutdown light on my truck, and I got shit, what we got. So I pull off, I'm just dumping coolant, right? And so what it appears that happened was that the coolant fan overcooled the radiator to such a point that it maybe, you know, something busted, like a seam in the radiator or something busted. So so we had to pull up in here yesterday, and I've been here since like 10 a.m. yesterday waiting to try and get it worked on. And there's a whole bunch more to this story that I'm gonna have to tell after I do this here. So because I got to, yeah, I am here. I've arrived now, and I got to drop off this radiator and then go park and all that stuff. So we'll pick this back up in a bit here. So to be continued. See ya.